Ladies and gentlemen, we are very honored to have with us the Urban Development as well as Union Petroleum Minister, Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri, a man who has a way with words. So, Mr. Hardeep Puri, how would you look at India today? 7.2% GDP growth. Everybody in the world is lauding you, but back home, not one person in the opposition is impressed with the achievements of the Modi Sarkar.
This question can be answered at a serious level by saying that in any democracy, the opposition has an inherent right to oppose. But equally, anything that you say in a democracy is also subject to what is called the doctrine of common sense. Now, if something is going well, and you oppose it, then who was it? I don't know, Benjamin Franklin or someone who said, you know, fools will always oppose, but then at the end of the day, they are fools. Some expression to that effect. If it is opposition that you are looking at, and I suspect that political instinct and streak in you, you are looking to direct the conversation towards a young leader who has flown to some distance and from there has suddenly found a concern about the functioning of democracy and the treatment of minorities. So let me tell you, minorities, he was 13 years old when the Nelly massacre took place. And 200 people were brutally massacred. That was 1983, all belonging to a minority community. He was 14 years old when 3,000 Sikhs were killed in cold blood. And I could go on and on. But what I worry about, and this is the more serious situation, if, as per his predictions, and that of his ecosystem were largely liberals or who are described as liberals. They were all projecting that growth in India during the last fiscal year, for which we just got the figures, you cited them, would be around 5%. Now, I ask you, if the World Bank, the UN system, the RBI, they're all predicting 6.5% and above, and if you choose to predict 5% or thereabouts, is that a prediction or is that wishful thinking? You don't want India to do well. Therefore, you come up with these lower estimates. All right, anyone can make a mistake, but after you've got a figure of, let's say, and I'm now going to break it down. GST collection, I thought, was for the 14th month running above 1,40,000 crores. It was 1,57,000 crores. If you look at the last quarter's growth, if you look at the overall growth, 7.2%. But why do you feel unhappy when such statistics are rolled out? Now, I am in a happy mood because in every program I go to and we talk about 9 years of the Modi government, it's not just us saying that this was the situation in 2014, this is the situation today in 2023. But you have Ernst & Young earlier saying by 2040 you will be a $28 trillion economy. You have Morgan Stanley talking about the last decade and in terms of what all has gone right. Why do some people, instead of joining in the celebration, choose to put what I think is a false construct on it? One of the economists who's been joined with them, he said, "No, but you know, this rate of growth is you should not take it too seriously because there are structural problems, structural flaws. If you look at the last year, it's all gibberish." Once you make a projection that your economy is going to grow at 5% or 5.2% and you end up with 7.2%, the intelligent thing to do is, hey, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I'm glad. Now I think if there are any other correctives to be taken, please take them. But you should be part of that celebration and the part of that effort for India to be a Viksit Desh, or a developed country by 2047. How can you predicate your entire thing on saying, India, this is going wrong, that is going wrong? I want to conclude with a small piece of information which many of you may not know. I am very fond of recalling the work of a Cambridge historian, Angus Maddison, who said that India's contribution to the global GDP was in the vicinity of 25% in 1700. But there's another statistic I want to give you. At the time of the Mughal Empire, the Mughal emperor had given the designation of Jagat Seth, or banker of the world, to one set of people in Calcutta, because their wealth was more than that of the British Empire in 1720. That is what you have to reclaim. The economy, the culture, the heritage. And here we became independent in 1947, but we defined our entire 7,000-year-old civilizational historical DNA in terms of that 190 years when we went from 25% after 1750. And I don't know, I mean, who was this? Gunnar Myrdal or somebody who said the British elite left India, leaving behind an identical Indian elite. So I don't know whether, so I think the PM make 2 points. One is Viksit Desh by Amrit Kal 2047 and shed your colonial mindset. I think some of these guys are having difficulty because they run away from the local domestic arena, periodically go to London or the Big Apple or San Francisco somewhere, and then identify with people who organize programs. I wish somebody would check their antecedents.
Mr. Hardeep Puri, the fact is, despite all of this, despite everything in statistical terms going right for the government, you still lost the elections in Karnataka.
Oh, I'm glad that we occasionally lose elections also. Otherwise, they say that EVMs are not functioning. I mean, there is one very prominent member who used to be part of that party. Now he went across somewhere else because he wanted a Rajya Sabha seat, which he got. He used to be my teacher. He actually organized a group to look at the malfunctioning of EVMs. So I was hoping that something like that would happen. Not a tune, nowhere. Look, let's get serious. In a democracy, this is not the first time a sitting party, I'm talking from 1947 onwards, and I'm very fond of telling this story. When I was writing my second book, at that time, the Congress party won, I think, in Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. And the publisher called me and said, "Sir, would you like to revisit your conclusions?" Because my conclusions was that the BJP was headed for 300 plus in 2019. I said, please allow me to write an extended introduction where I will address this particular point. Navika, democracy is all about testing assumptions. If people make mistakes, you have the opportunity to introspect, or you should introspect, see where you went wrong, and then stand up and get going. And I think the BJP, not only because it is a large political party, and it has a lot of internal democracy reconciliation also, I think whatever happened in Karnataka, our vote share didn't go down, it's 36%. In Himachal, I think the vote share difference was 0.9%. There may have been other mistakes we made, and we will gladly acknowledge those and correct those. But going forward from here to 2024, you asked me one question about the agencies. And my favorite story there is, if you are recruiting teachers, and thousands of teachers apply, and then you grade them or you list them, and periodically it's found that you don't take the top 24, you take somebody there, and the word goes around that you're collecting money for those appointments, it's not the agency which initiated the action. One of the aggrieved persons went to the court, and the court directed investigation. That is what happened. So, if your case, I'm sure, knowing you, I've known you for such a long time, that can't be your case. But if the opposition case is, we have a sense of entitlement, parivar, this, that, and one of those things is, you can't use any agency against us. Arey bhai, तुम जब पावर में थे, you used 356 100 times. One of their prime ministers used 356, one prime minister 50 times. हम तो अगर किसी ने कहां पे करप्शन की एलिगेशन है यूजिंग एन एजेंसी, आपने तो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से डिसमिस कर दी थी, की थी कि नहीं? दिस इज पार्ट ऑफ हिस्ट्री.
Let me pick up on the point where you said that ahead of the 2019 elections, you were writing a book and you predicted a 300 plus victory. My question to you is, are you currently writing a book for 2024?
I'll tell you something. I'll make the prediction without writing a book. Look, make no mistake. The voter in 2024, I'm talking about the general election, will be faced with two competing models. Okay, one is the Modi decade, in which the economic indices, the other achievements, etc., will be in front of the voter, and an opposition which will be issue-based in some areas, which will be fighting as to who will be the leader, and which will be practicing a variety of freebie politics advocacy.
What if the opposition comes together on a platform? And there are many such platforms that are being constructed. One of them being Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, who after a Supreme Court verdict has now to face an ordinance that has been passed by your government, which doesn't allow him the leg room to operate as an independent elected government. And that's become a plank on which the opposition is trying to unite, at least in the short term.
No, insofar as the Honorable Chief Minister's Delhi is concerned, I don't think the ordinance wants to deprive him of the ability to work as an independent chief minister. I think the ordinance seeks in a very responsible way to circumscribe his interpretation of independence. I mean, at 8 minutes past 2 in the morning, you raid the office of the Secretary Vigilance, I think Mr. Jaishekhar, and because he is conducting an inquiry into the liquor scam and that
Operation Sheesh Mahal.
Aam Aadmi Mahal, which is built on 20,000 square feet using the world's most expensive, interiors. And you remove files from there over a period of 38 to 40 minutes, take them into a neighboring room, photocopy them. There's a shredding machine there, you shred them. Now, if you need to pass an ordinance to prevent stuff like that happening, for no other reason I would recommend it. But by the way, the Congress party, listen to the statement of the son of the erstwhile chief minister. He said, how can you allow this to happen here? Now, he's been around long enough for people to judge him on what he has been doing for the last 10, 11 years. So I have written about it extensively. So you have for want of a better word, a political startup which has now graduated into full-blown anarchy. And I choose my words carefully. Full-blown anarchy, where agar aapke ishare pe koi chal nahi raha Delhi mein, and you have a government in Punjab, and somebody has a relative there, just lock them up there. Or once they sent their cops from Punjab here to pick up somebody from his home inside Delhi. Now, is this democratic governance? I mean, it's like somebody who doesn't know the ABC of political power and says, well, I couldn't exercise it in Delhi because I'm ring-fenced and, law and order here. And therefore, now I've got something in Punjab and you go and run amok. I've said this, I've written letters on all the central government schemes. Wherever Mr. Kejriwal gets involved, we have the worst performance registered. And I think it comes from the fact that their approach to governance is quite antithetical or opposed to what needs to be done. So if you ask for freebies, when they assumed power, officially the debt was 3,81,000 crores. If it is 6 lakh crores, so what? So what? Let the center give us the money. That's the approach.
Mr. Puri, let me ask you a question on the new parliament, the Central Vista plan that your government has, the renaming of the Rajpath to Kartavya Path. Many people have called it a vanity project in the past. I see you sighing there and absolutely exasperated. But
I think it's non-serious. You had what is called a delimitation exercise, which has to be done by 2026. We're already in 2023. Half the year is gone. A new, larger parliament had to be built. It's not a matter of choice. I think successive Congress governments have said and articulated the need for a larger parliament. Shrimati Navika Kumar, my erstwhile colleagues in the Foreign Service, when she was Speaker, her secretary wrote to the Secretary of Urban Development. It's all the letters are in the public domain. Mr. Jairam Ramesh has articulated this. Mr. Shashi Tharoor on a visit to Malaysia, I think, when he saw their parliament, said, I wish we had one like this. So the parliament, a larger parliament to reflect the new India, to reflect the requirements, that was an imperative. On top of that, we are spending what 1,000 crores of rupees by way of rent to house government buildings when government is a landowner. Now, why was this not done earlier? I think that is a more appropriate question. Insofar as vanity project, if the vanity is about the Shishmal, I don't know, but as a whole, I mean, I see people, look, the parliament is being built for the next 50, 100 or 200 years. And the expenditure which is being quoted is a pittance. The popular estimate on the parliament is कि पता नहीं ये इतने हजार करोड़ की है, etc.
20,000 crore is
20,000 crore is a figure which has been going around. After we come to the tendered cost, this is not parliament ki, it's entire Central Vista ki. Entire Central Vista means उसमें कर्तव्य पथ है, सारी जो government buildings दिल्ली में सब जगह हैं, they will be in 8 executive blocks. There's the vice president's house. It'll have the defense enclave. It will have the prime minister's house, all that milake. And we don't know whether it's 20,000 or it's 16,000, 17. It'll be dependent on the tendered cost. जो parliament की बात कर रहे हैं, which now they are saying yes, but दिखने में तो अच्छी है. Under technological वो जो है, and it reclaims that 7,000-year-old civilizational ethos. What? Sanatani parampara. Okay, number one. And ancient Indian architectural this thing. Call it what you like, Vastu, etc. And what a controversy they tried to produce. Let me tell you. They said ये जो Sengul है ना, ये वो जो Adheenam है वो Brahmin है. So somebody had to tell them ये Brahmin नहीं है भाई. उनको पता ही नहीं है. ये Brahmin नहीं है भाई. अच्छा जब पता लगा they withdrew very quickly. और फिर कहा अच्छा वो हिंदू अखबार जो है, I'm not naming anybody, but that Hindu newspaper is normally the custodian of the intellectual life of the city of Chennai now. They had to fact check themselves. By the way, I found an article which had appeared in the New York Times magazine on 25th August 1947. I tweeted that also. देखिए ऐसा है, the Sengul is all about rule by Dhamma, so that whoever has the power to take decisions will take those decisions in the interest of the people, and that there will be equity, there will be justice. अच्छा आपकी 1200-1300 करोड़ की पार्लियामेंट बन गई और हल्ला आपने 10,000 करोड़ का बना दिया पार्लियामेंट का. मैं तो कह रहा हूं टोटल प्रोजेक्ट नहीं है उतना जितना ये बोल रहे हैं. सो सरेआम ये लोग झूठ बोलते हैं. एंड एज आई थिंक माय टैगलाइन इज थिएटर ऑफ द एब्सर्ड.
But he said Sengol ko they are lying down and all that. At least people should be thankful that I'm not lying down.
No, first of all, if he was trying to mock somebody, because he also speaks in half sentences. So, as far as the Sengol is concerned, I think it is a a matter of public record that it was retained. First of all, the whole story on how, you know, it's entirely understandable that those who were assuming power in 1947 did not know about the Indian parampara and all. It's entirely possible. So they approached Rajaji. Okay, and Rajaji advised, according to information in the public domain, okay, कि ऐसा है that this is Sengol. It was given to Lord Mountbatten, and there were discussions. And then Lord Mountbatten के बाद it was given to the Prime Minister, and it found its way into the museum at Prayagraj as Nehru's walking stick. So I rest my case on that. I mean, if this is the understanding that we have of what is our cultural ethos, rest it. And then you characterize somebody as a Brahmin, somebody as something as a walking stick.
Mr. Hardeep Puri, because you're an author, because you're somebody who has a way with words, I want to do a short rapid fire on a political subject, which is the contenders for the PM's job in 2024. And I want you to describe in one sentence each of the contenders. Rahul Gandhi.
Pretender.
Kejriwal. Kejriwal.
I'll accept any of the two comments that came from there.
No, it's your version.
अरे यार क्या बोल रहे हो? At least in the case of Mr. Rahul Gandhi, I mean, in his previous generations contributed to the freedom movement, etc. अब बाकी उन लोगों को नाम ला रहे हो, तो ये if it's a serious rapid fire, I'll give you my words.
Yes, it is serious.
I accept either of the two comments which came from your distinguished...
One was a liar and another was... Okay. Mamata Banerjee. बड़ा टाइम लगा रहे हो ये rapid fire question है.
No, I don't think she herself wants to be, you know, there is a large group of them there. Why are you leaving out Nitish? Why are you leaving?
I'm coming to them. No, so Mamata Banerjee first.
All of them put together don't add up to 1%.
1% of what?
Of prospects. Exactly. और कुछ और भी ले लो साथ में.
KCR.
हाँ?
KCR.
Is within that 1%.
नीतीश कुमार.
मैंने शुरू किया था वहां से. नीतीश कुमार, the lady from West Bengal, KCR, KTR, सबको लगा लो 1%.
And Narendra Modi.
Well, look, I'll just put it to you this way, that any analysis you do, he will be judged by the fact that he was a hands-on chief minister of one state which recorded an economic performance in those 12 years, and he would have completed 10 years as a Prime Minister of India, during which India moved from the 10th position in terms of global positioning to the 5th position. And if the economy is at 3.8 trillion and the next two economies, Germany and Japan, are at 4.1 and 4.3, and if we've grown at 7.2% last fiscal year, if that is maintained, we will be the third largest economy well before his third term is over. So that is the choice. Now, I respect electorates. I have been involved in student activism, university politics. I've been amongst the people. A reasonable person presented these two choices. Let's say put all the others together, etc. And Narendra Modi ji, I think the choice is clear, and I think you're looking not at just a victory, a very comfortable one, and I'll give you the figure.
Okay. Okay, there's one minister who's willing to put the number out there. 303 last time, 282.
303 I said last time. This time I'll say 330.
330 seats in 2024. Well, that's a big one, and you're writing a book, I'm sure.
I'm not writing a book. I don't have time to write a book, but let me tell you two things that you must always remember. The Indian electorate, especially when it's looking at who will be the head of governance for the next 5 years in a Lok Sabha election tends not to focus on, in a state assembly election, they are my caste, my jatwala, my, local issues that you got the ticket, I didn't get it, and that kind of thing. But at the national level, the issues are too serious because you have issues of national security, you have issues of economic growth, and this time I'm telling you that there is a reclaiming of that 7,000-year-old civilizational thing which I mentioned to you, and now people realize that's what Kartavya Path, the new parliament, and by the way, Ram Temple is also coming up.
Well, on that note, thank you very much, Mr. Hardeep Puri, for putting it out there. Absolutely not playing defensive. This one's hit out of the park. A sixer in 2024. Is that what we are going to get? Audience, what do you think? Huge round of applause. Thank you, Mr. Hardeep Puri, for joining me.